Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dakota Brazier, and I'm Minister MacLeod's Senior Communications Advisor and Press Secretary. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We are also joined by Kathleen Sharpe, the Executive Director of the Ontario Cultural Attractions Fund, and John McKellar, the Chair of OCAF. Following the announcement today, we will be taking questions from the media. If you have a question, please put your name and outlet in the chat bar on the side, and I will unmute you to ask your question. Just as a reminder, it will be one question, one follow-up. I'll now turn it over to Minister MacLeod.
Thanks very much, Dakota, and thanks all of you for joining us. In particular, I'd like to say thank you to Kathleen and to John for joining us. As many of you know, my sectors were hit first, hardest, and will take the longest to recover as a result of COVID-19. We, previous to the pandemic, represented a spectacular double the bottom line, which included $75 billion in economic activity, employing hundreds of thousands of people, and of course being part of the social fabric of why we love where we live. And this announcement today is a little bit about that. But we have experienced a triple threat. That is the healthcare crisis, the ensuing financial and economic crisis, and then the social crisis. And as part of the social recovery and economic recovery of Ontario, we really want to be a part of that, to make sure that that what makes us proud to love where we live here in Ontario remains. And so that's what this announcement is about today. It's about the economic and social recovery of the province of Ontario on the heels of yesterday's announcement of the three-step approach to gradually reopen our economy, with a fair amount of that work being done in this ministry as we open the economy. We know that in pre-pandemic days, every dollar this ministry invested into a festival or event would yield a $21 return for that local economy. I personally feel it's important to continue to invest in cultural attractions and position Ontario and all of ourselves for economic and social recovery. Today's announcement builds off of the $105 million increased investment over the next 2 years to the Ontario Trillium Foundation, the $35 million increase to the Ontario Arts Council over the next 2 years, the $100 million investment that we have made into the Ontario Travel and Tourism Small Business Grant, the $100 million that we have invested into the Tourism Recovery Program, and hopefully this summer we'll be able to engage in the $150 million travel incentive across Ontario. Along with Kathleen and John, I'm pleased today to announce $4 million for 54 cultural attractions and events throughout the Ontario through the Ontario Cultural Attractions Fund, which the ministry supports. These events include virtual events, drive-in and drive-through events, as well as events that may take place at a later date if they receive public clearance and guidance. A few examples are Opera Atelia's 35th anniversary, which will showcase their performance online in Toronto. Karasaga's Global Festival, which has been postponed, but will be able to, once it's safe to do so, continue its programming. Friends of the Chippewa Park's 100th anniversary is scheduled for later this summer, and the Festival Franco-Ontarian here in the city of Ottawa, where I'm from, is scheduled for the fall, and the Stratford Festival, which is taking place next year. All of these events, as I said, maybe have had to pivot during this pandemic, but we feel it's important to continue those investments so that when we are out of this pandemic and when it is safe to do so, that they continue to have the infrastructure and support in place in order for us to celebrate again in person when it's safe to do so. So with that, I'd like to now turn it over to our chair, John, for a few words. And I know John McKellar is very proud of the work that our agency is doing, and he'd like to talk a little bit about the programming today.
Well, thank you very much, Minister MacLeod, and thank you for your kind words about the Ontario Cultural Attraction Fund, or OCAF as we call it. As you say, I am John McKellar, the President and Chair of OCAF. Over the last year, the pandemic has created major issues for the economy, and probably none more than for the entertainment industry, culture, and tourism. Our mandate is to support the marketing of cultural tourism events, exhibitions, and festivals that will attract visitors to Ontario and its urban and rural communities. We do that through a rather unique model that is a combination loan and grant. The repayments are invested back into the fund, with the result that OCAF is able to distribute about $1.70 for every dollar we receive from government. It's a remarkable model that has lasted 22 years. Now, last March, as you all know, activity stopped abruptly, and although some incredible virtual programming has been available and some outdoor activities, the vast majority of all the festivals and events we love about Ontario have stopped. The board of OCAF wanted to make a program as open as possible to help with the restoring of the sector and its recovery. To do that, we've relaxed some restrictions in the program that has resulted in the upcoming events that have been announced today. Additionally, we have offered 2 free webinar series to help the sector develop new skills in digital marketing to prepare for reopening. We will continue to provide training support where it's needed and fits our mandate to do so. These have been very enthusiastically received and have resulted in hundreds of participants in the Zoom calls. Now, OCAF was set up in 1999 to encourage and invest in tourism, and to this date, we have distributed some $81 million to almost 800 organizations whose events have attracted 70 million people and generated something like $235 million in revenue. We are very grateful to the Minister and her staff for their ongoing support that allows us to deliver this unique program. We are proud to be a part of a larger team of agencies and programs that support arts and culture, heritage and tourism across this beautiful province. So that's all that I have to say now. And back to the Minister, and I think maybe Kathleen is up next.
Okay, thank you so much, John and Minister MacLeod. John and the Minister have really said it all, I think, and I don't have too much to add, except to say an enormous thank you to her staff, and the amazing ministry staff we work with to help us achieve all the things OCAF is able to do. It's been a terrible year for the hospitality, entertainment, culture, and heritage sectors. There's no other way to say it. The wonderful thing about artists is their inherent resiliency. The creativity coming out of the sector right now is truly phenomenal and will be a revelation for the public once live and in-person events are able to take place again. We are playing our part to help this recovery, when it comes in earnest, to be a great one where Ontarians and visitors are amazed and delighted by our creators and events. It will take some time, but we are here to help make it happen in concert with our sister organizations, as you heard from Minister MacLeod, like the Ontario Arts Council, the Heritage Trust, Ontario Creates, and the Ontario Trillium Foundation. We cannot wait to get back out there, and based on this list, there will be remarkable experiences for all of us. Thank you again, Minister, for your ongoing support and confidence in us, and I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you so much,
Kathleen.
Sorry, Minister, go ahead.
No, that's okay, dear. Thank you, Kathleen, and thank you, John. I'll now turn it over to Dakota, who will marshal all of this.
Not a problem. Thank you so much, Minister. So just as a reminder, if you do have a question, we ask that you put your name and outlet in the chat bar on the side, and I will unmute you to ask your questions. Minister, your first question comes from Justin at CHCH. Justin, you have been unmuted. You should be able to accept on your end.
Hey, Lisa, you probably know what's coming. Something about
hey,
the
Justin.
Bugging you again, but does the 3-step opening plan sort of open up an avenue or a pathway that you could see the Ontario CFL teams getting on the field? And is there any update with that?
Yeah, so there's no update other than to say yes. In step 3, you'll start to see sport coming back, and what that looks like, we're going to work with health on because we recognize contact, obviously in football and rugby will be critical, and that's in season. So that work is ongoing. I did speak earlier today with the Chief Medical Officer of Health with a presentation with respect to sporting events. As you know, I'm absolutely committed to trying to get us to a point where Hamilton is able to host the Grey Cup Festival. That's really important to me. So that work is being done. And I think yesterday's announcement, while some people may have some concerns about which step they're in, actually brings us to a roadmap that my colleagues and I on the Jobs and Recovery Committee of Cabinet can really start to marry our work with the work of the public health table. And so I do see relief in sight. Exactly at what time, that's still going to be determined. As the health minister and the premier indicated yesterday, we are going to be starting that sector by sector work. And I started already engaging on that. So I'm a lot more hopeful today than maybe I was a couple of days ago.
And do you see it being realistic? Last time we were talking, you thought it was a little ambitious, that August 5th target date that they have to kick off. How do you feel like now with that 3-step opening plan being put into place about August 5th?
Well, now that we have clear thresholds and criteria with respect to vaccinations, what ICU capacity looks like, what testing looks like, I think that gives us a better sense. And now that we've got clear guidance from the health table on what that would look like, I feel a lot better. It might be still too early for fans and stands, but that's also something I've already engaged and started engaging with the Chief Medical Officer of Health on. So that's all that work is being done, and it's being done expeditiously with all of our stakeholders. Thanks, Justin.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Minister. Your next question comes from Eric at City News Ottawa. Eric, you have been unmuted. You can go ahead with your question.
Hey, Eric.
Thank you. Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Good. Here, we're seeing a lot of reactions on social media these, I guess, just last few hours about the province's decision to keep splash pads closed on the weekend. You know, I think there's a lot of disappointment in the community. As a local representative, what are your thoughts on keeping splash pads closed?
Well, look, I'll say this as minister who's responsible for sports and recreation. This is something that I hear loud and clear from my constituents, from my neighbors, and it's something that Cabinet understands is important. The work is ongoing right now with the experts, and I hope to have this resolved. And I feel very optimistic that this weekend will be a great one for kids across Ottawa and the rest of Ontario.
So it's not a. I know that the mayor has asked the premier directly to reconsider reopening them. So that's not a decision that's even being thought about for public health reasons. Sorry.
No, I think my answer was absolutely the opposite. I feel confident, given the the rapidity of the work that we've been doing. They were closed. We spoke with health officials. That right now it's with the experts, and I feel very confident that my neighbors will be happy this weekend.
Very good. So we can have, sorry about that. So we can have maybe some news a little bit later on today.
I would stay tuned, and I feel very optimistic.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Minister, your next question comes from Adam Stanley with the Toronto Star. Adam,
hey,
you have
Adam.
been muted.
Are you going to ask me a golf question, Adam?
Are you able to accept on your end, Adam?
Go. There we are. Okay. Yes, Minister, I am definitely going to ask you a golf question. However,
but you're not going to tell anybody how I golf, are you? Because you've golfed with me in the past.
I wouldn't dream of it. No,
okay,
that's secret safe with us.
Sounds good.
Obviously, a lot of excitement, of course, from the golf industry across the province with the announcement that the courses are going to be able to open this weekend. Of course, there was much frustration up until the announcement came through yesterday. Can you just speak to your conversations with the We Are Golf group and how they went over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, Golf Ontario, the We Are Golf group has been incredible to work with. They recognized we had some mobility issues. We were able to get our case counts down. I can tell you Wednesday night, Mike Kelly almost came through his Zoom to give me a hug, but it was good. It was productive. It was constructive. And, we recognize 14 months into a pandemic, tensions are high. People have been stuck at home. They have not been able to see their family. I've not been able to see my mother in almost 2 years because she's in Nova Scotia. And we want some semblance of normalcy. And golf was very important, as was basketball, tennis, pickleball, for many people as an important outlet, not just for their physical well-being, but their mental well-being. And so we really try in the ministry, and myself in particular, try to make sure that we have strong relationships with all of our stakeholders as you can tell, we've got a very wide net of sectors here, and
Yes.
we want to make sure that they're all, that they all feel like they're part of our reopening. And so the conversations were really good, and we were able to talk to the Chief Medical Officer of Health and the science table, and with the numbers coming down the way they have, they were able to be part of what we call pre-step 1. So getting people back onto the links and onto the courts in a safe and sustainable way was something that was important. But again, can't say enough about them. They were just really a delight to work with. And I know, Wednesday night when I was able to give them a heads up just to prepare, it was one of the better conversations of the last year and a half, let's just say.
Okay, good stuff. A very, very quick follow-up. So just to confirm, obviously the sport of golf, had 26 million rounds in the province last year, which I'm sure Mike has shared with you frequently. No traces of COVID-19 back to a golf facility. So really, the shuttering of the golf courses was a mobility issue. That's the reason.
Yeah, we were under a stay-at-home order, and we still are under a stay-at-home order, but with cases coming down, some of the more safer activities are the things that we looked at, and through regulation we're able to open up. But we still are in a pandemic, even though you can go golfing or you can go to the basketball court. We got to remember there's that rule: if you can't be 2 meters apart, wear your mask if you're outside. And if you can be, then you can not be wearing your mask. But I really think it's important that we continue to adhere to the social distancing and masking protocols, as well as continuing to wash our hands. And I know if you don't have to go out for essential reasons or for your mental health and well-being, then maybe and physical well-being, then I think it's important you continue to stay at home. The entire summer season of sport, tourism, culture, recreation, everything that I represent around the cabinet table relies on all of us getting vaccinated and following the public health protocols. Otherwise, we could have a summer full of covariants, and I don't want to see that.
Thank you so much, Minister. Appreciate it. All my
Thanks,
best.
Thanks. Take care.
Thanks, Minister. If there are no final questions, I will now turn it back to the Minister for some closing remarks.
Okay, well, listen, thanks everyone. I appreciate the opportunity that you all took today to join us as we made this $4 million investment into 54 different organizations across Ontario as we continue to support our heritage, sport, tourism, and culture sectors, even though many of them have been shuttered. I do appreciate that this is a long weekend, and I encourage all Ontarians to ensure that they stay safe and where they don't need to go out to not. But I also do want to say, happy Victoria Day, long weekend. Please stay safe and know that we'll get through this. But it will take a little bit more patience, and it will take all of us to adhere to those social distancing and public health protocols. So thank you all very much. We'll look forward to seeing you another time.
Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.